Warning, we're going to be discussing events for currently running weekly anime.
If you want to avoid spoilers for certain shows, there are timestamps in the description. Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Timesink Anime Podcast. This is Winter 2019, Week 3. We're getting close to our cutoff point, and hope it's your satisfaction or your money back. Even though you're not paying anything, so what does it matter?
Soon we'll have everyone's money. But, yeah, we have to send it back as soon as we get it now. Thanks to what you just said.
Yeah.
Fucking kill our business before you started.
Yeah, I sure did. But anyway, I'm JT.
And I am Penniless Rex now. Thanks.
Yes, because I am a saboteur. Because I'm JT the saboteur, apparently. Anyway, so let's get started with some news this week. So apparently, a lot of people like Dragon Ball. And I mean lot of people. Like, who'da thunk?
I'm not an expert on income for new movies, but I feel like $7 million for the first day is pretty good for an anime movie.
Yeah, I mean, and that's not even in its local market, and that's also with a limited release, because this is specifically the American markets, right?
Yeah. The U.S. first day and U.S. release earned an estimated $7 million.
Yeah, so I don't know how much money the Broly movie has made outside of domestic markets. I guess for Japan, that would be domestic markets.
Yeah.
But here in the States, $7 million on its first day. That's pretty impressive. Who would have thought that people like Dragon Ball?
Still, nowadays. In this economy.
Yeah, in this economy, well, you can at least rely on Dragon Ball. I don't think Dragon Ball's going anywhere as long as Akira Toriyama's still alive.
Oh, no way. Dragon Ball has been around for a long time, and it's going to be around for a very much longer time.
Yeah. And whether you like Dragon Ball or not, you can't deny the impact it's had. I'll admit, somebody who's not the biggest fan of Dragon Ball, I saw the Goku Jiren fight at the end of Super, and I'm like, okay, that was awesome. I had to go, curse my testosterone, but that was freaking cool.
Yeah! Get some!
just the fighting animation and stuff just was so good. It reminded me back when I was a kid, and I did like Dragon Ball, like, a lot. I only watched the Buu Saga growing up, though, so I was late to that ride. Anyway, next bit of news. Bunny Girl Senpai is getting a movie.
Yeah, I still haven't finished that series yet.
Yeah, I haven't either.
Getting around to it.
Yeah.
We'll finish it soon.
Yeah, we've seen the first 4 episodes of it, and what we've seen so far we liked. We were actually, on that note, we're actually putting off our predictions and stuff for the Anime Awards because we think that by watching Bunny Girl Senpai, it might change our perceptions on things a little bit, like Best Boy, Best Girl, etc., so forth.
Yeah, I was looking at the Reddit Best Girl of 2018 awards, and that's all community voted. So
yeah,
they're in the semifinals right now.
Yeah,
and every pair out of the 4 pairs has a character from Bunny Girl in it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was like, well, I mean, my opinions will probably change after I watch this for Best Girl.
And that could be a recency effect type thing. Like, some people, like, they saw Bunny Girl and they really liked him, but at the same time, I guess it's not surprising. Like, a lot of people really like Sakurajima. It makes sense, though, because a lot of people like Senjo Gahara, and she definitely has a lot of those same vibes. We talked about this a little bit off screen.
The last piece of news is
Daisuke.
What's his face? Daisuke Hasegawa, the guy who's saying the final Diamonds Unbreakable opening, is going to be doing the next JoJo opening.
Woo! I'll say that that actually was not my favorite Diamond is Unbreakable OP. My personal favorite was Chase, followed by Crazy Noisy Bizarre Town. But I thought the looping back footage version of that was pretty cool.
It was my favorite, so fuck you.
Yeah, I'm not saying it was bad. I'm just saying it wasn't my personal thing.
Yeah, your opinion is different from mine, therefore fuck you. That's how the internet works, JT.
But we're not in the internet. We're not on the internet. We're in person right
now. Or
now.
are we?
Dun, dun, dun.
But yeah, Coda sang Fighting Gold.
And Bloody Stone. Or was it Bloody Stone or Bloody... It's Bloody Stone, I think.
Yeah, it's not Bloody Tears. That's a Castlevania.
Yeah, I was going to say. Because, Bloody Tears... It's like, no, it's not Bloody Tears.
Anyway,
it's Castlevania.
They definitely reuse people for their openings to great effect. Everyone loves it. I really liked Fighting Gold. It wasn't my favorite JoJo opening, but I thought it was pretty kick-ass.
I would have liked to hear the guy from Chase again, but that's just me.
Maybe later.
Maybe later. Who knows, indeed. Or, even better yet, if they bring back the guy who sang...
Yeah, Smash Mouth! Smash Mouth for the next JoJo opening!
Smash Mouth maybe for the next JoJo ending. That'd be cool.
I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy.
Like if they played like Walking on the Sun or some shit.
Oh my god, there's just the credits start rolling. It's just like...
Yeah, that would actually be pretty cool, because as much as Freakin' You has grown on me, I'll admit that. I'll admit that it's a catchy song. It does not really fit the ending at all. Like, I still don't understand why they picked that one. Of all the songs they could have picked from that time period, it still doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But anyway, enough of us fanboying about various things like JoJo openings and Dragon Ball Z and all that shit.
Smash Mouth.
Yeah, and Smash Mouth. Oh, the Timesink Anime Podcast, where you can hear us geek out about fucking Smash Mouth of all things.
Smash Mouth is my favorite anime. Anyway, so week 3, winter 2019.
Yep, week 3, winter 2019.
What are we starting off with first?
We are changing things up a little bit as far as our shows that we're listing off. We just decided alphabetically to make a switch a little bit. So, starting off now with Boogiepop and Others. Now, as far as overall community, like, perceptions goes, it is, like, the 10th best show this season. And I can kind of understand that, because this show really is a slow burn. Like,
I think I'd put it up, like, after watching this episode, probably my top 5.
Okay.
Of the season.
Yeah, I can understand why some people may not necessarily think that, because Boogiepop is definitely a very slow burning type show, but I like that about it.
Yeah, that's probably why they did the first 2 episodes at the same time.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to draw people in a little bit more, and the first episode definitely left you like, huh?
Oh, yeah. And this episode just starts to introduce a lot more of the supernatural mystery concepts. Like, it's sort of like, it's kind of difficult to explain, like, how this show is. It's like somebody took Baccano and the Monogatari series to an extent, and kind of threw them in a blender, because it's all about, like, different supernatural concepts told sort of out of order, and it's not nearly as funny. I'm trying to think of a good, like, slow-burning horror-type show where they would throw this kind of stuff in there as well. I guess you could say Death Note, but there isn't really much of but there isn't, like, a mental chess game like there was in Death Note. But anyway, that aside, we got introduced to 2 new characters. One of the least intimidating names for a villain I think I've ever heard. Well, I guess aside from Death Gun, but Imaginator.
Yeah, not entirely sure. So the only thing we know is that it's an entity
that's
similar to Boogiepop, in that they know each other.
Yeah. Apparently there's more than one. Apparently there might be more than one Imaginator, so to speak.
When Boogiepop was talking, or I think after Imaginator like jumped off the building, Boogiepop said something along the lines of, "You haven't split yet," which I think is like, because we have Boogiepop, the personality, and then the personality of the girl.
Toka Miyashita, yes.
Yeah, that's 2 different personalities. So
okay. So you're thinking that Boogiepop or beings like Boogiepop will take over a persona, like a person first, because they need to. But then, eventually, if they gain enough sentience or something, they will eventually split off and become their own entity.
Yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, that's the impression that I get, too. Like, it would make a lot of sense. And then we get introduced to the other focus of this episode, Jin Asukai.
I'm very interested in his power, because he uses it at first to basically... He used it to become a counselor. Like, he sees what people are missing.
Yeah, it's like his power is the ability to see like a rose in people's hearts, pretty much. It's kind of based on a storybook that he remembers as a child, I think. If I remember correctly, it was something he remembered reading when he was very young. And it was something he related to, so he was able to see that what they were missing, like based on the state of the flower in their hearts. And he would say things or do things to kind of... He
would only say things.
Yeah.
Like, because he actually was upset that he couldn't do anything to help anybody.
Yeah.
He just knows he knows what they were missing, and then he'd say something that he thought would help them. That's how he like became a school counselor.
Yeah.
And it's... I guess Imaginator is probably telling him to use his ability to find out more about people's hearts.
Yeah.
Because, like, when she kisses him, or when she kisses him in the body of the other girl, it shows him, like, ripping out people's hearts.
Yeah.
Ripping out the rose in people's hearts.
Yeah. And he was, like, utterly terrified of it because it's just, why would you show me that sort of deal? And...
because he considers himself to be a functional member of society who would never want to hurt anybody.
Yeah, but at the same time, he just needed a push in a different direction because now he apparently is a pseudo-vigilante, I guess, because he saw, like, these two people, like, who were getting picked on by some thugs. He basically told the people to run away while he would deal with the thugs.
Yeah, I think that he's going to become that villain who convinces himself he's doing something right.
Yeah.
But in the end, he's just turning himself slowly more and more into a monster.
Speaking of which, his power is kind of, I guess, you could argue similar to Johann Liebert's power from Monster. Johann Liebert doesn't have, like, a supernatural ability per se, but Johann was very good at reading people and very good at knowing what people needed to hear to basically make them do whatever he wanted. He would basically twist people's perceptions and make them kill themselves or others just by saying a few words. And this is sort of like that, but definitely in a supernatural plane, because he was able to paralyze people just by talking to them, right?
Yeah, I think he like strips away their... it looks kind of like giving someone a lobotomy.
Yeah.
Because when the girl was dying in his arms, after she slit her own throat because of Imaginator stuff, the cop said it looks like she had all the thorns plucked from her heart.
Yeah.
So I think at the moment before she died, he took her rose out. Or something like that.
That's right. And it's less forcing somebody to commit suicide, and more just basically taking away their pain to where they no longer have any desire to do anything because they're totally content now, pretty much.
Maybe we don't know all the details.
That's what it seems like. Kind of looking at it from that angle, like he's able to basically make people reach a contented state to where they just sort of shut down, like they have no reason really to do anything else. So it's interesting. Although what was even more interesting was when he was getting questioned by the police. And that was an interesting exchange in of itself because they were debating on whether or not he'd actually done anything. He seemed to have not really done anything. He was kind of just there as a victim of circumstance. So they let him go. But as he's leaving, he had like this freaking light Yagami-ass grin, which is...
according to Keikaku.
Yeah. Translators know Keikaku means plan. But anyway... the thing about that is that Death Note was also directed by Studio Madhouse, so there's no surprise there, exactly. Well, like, of course
they did the original Boogiepop as well. So.
Yep, they did do the original Boogiepop. Oh, Madhouse, please keep releasing high-quality shit.
Speaking of Boogiepop herself, she definitely seems like a chaotic good kind of character.
Yeah.
Because in the end, there was... a girl who's about to commit suicide. She's like, I want to join my friend, blah, 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 blah. I'm sad. But she's like, don't commit suicide. You're not even worth it. She's kind of saying that it might not necessarily have been effective to be like, no, don't do it.
Yeah.
You have stuff to live for. Like, she knew the calculated things specifically to say to get that person not to kill themselves in that moment.
Yeah. Once again, I'd like to point out that Boogiepop, the personality, is actually a guy. Toka Miyashita is a chick, but...
I don't care!
Okay.
Boogiepop got anime titty.
Yeah, well, sort of. Toka's kind of flat.
It doesn't matter, it's still there.
Oh, fine, whatever. But anyway, I'm really enjoying this series. It should really come as no surprise that I plan on keeping this series. Like, we'll officially confirm that next week, but at this point, it'd have to do something really atrocious to freaking make me want to drop it.
Yeah.
Like, it'd have to, like, completely do something.
Yeah, like, it would have to end up being a really good show for the first 3 episodes, and then the 4th episode would be really bad, but that couldn't happen, right?
Well, but the thing is, this was a good 4 episodes, if you think about it.
Oh, yeah,
we're in the clear.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's our next show, Rex?
Next up is A Certain Magical Index 3.
A Certain Magical Disappointment 3. I'm joking.
I like this episode because it didn't have much Toma in it.
Yeah. Again, I don't dislike Toma.
Yeah, but he's been really boring the last while. I mean, I don't know. That's not necessarily just Toma. Just all the pacing has been terrible.
We liked the Brexit arc.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did like that arc. But like, we're going back into the city.
Yeah.
So I'm engaging PTSD mode already. It's
because,
oh god, here we go. We're going fast again. Here's all the teams.
Yeah, exactly. Because this is an accelerator-centric arc, it seems.
Accelerator and Friends.
Yep, Accelerator and Friends, which I think you said after we watched this episode, you're just like, they just need to release a certain scientific accelerator already.
Yeah, because he's definitely, in my opinion, he's the most interesting character in the show.
He's definitely the most edgy. I'm just a punk-ass villain.
It makes sense, though. Because he is just a kid.
Yeah, he's just a kid.
And also he has a very difficult time showing his emotions, so he hides behind anger.
Yeah, yeah, he hides behind anger, denial, sort of, and he recognizes truly that yes, he did do some horrible, horrible things that he'll never be able to take back. Mm-hmm. Because the whole level 6 shift experiment was a proof of that. Let's kill a lot of people, pretty much, in some really twisted ways.
So terrorists.
Yep, terrorists.
Bunch of that situation itself was resolved pretty quickly. They were like, okay, there's terrorists. Go take them out. Mm-hmm. And then Move Point. I forget what her actual name is.
Yeah, everybody just refers to her as Move Point.
Yeah, she's just like, boop, we're in here. Yeah. And now the terrorists are dead. Boop, bye.
Yeah, and then there was a little exchange between some of the former members of Item. Hamazura, I believe his name is? Yeah.
Not Toma?
Yeah, a.k.a. Blonde, not Toma. He's not Toma at all, guys. He doesn't have any powers. He doesn't have a magic breaker. And he's got blonde hair. He's totally not Toma. Except he's really completely Toma. He's even got a harem of girls now. Because Kinahata, the girl who likes to say ultra in front of everything.
God, so annoying.
Yeah.
She's adorable, but
yeah.
I just imagine talking to someone like that in real life. I would just want to slowly push their face away as the voice slowly gets drowned out. Quieter and quieter, but they're still just going...
Ultra, ultra. But there was a funny little exchange when she was trying to say that he was like a pervert because he wanted her to look at her panties or something, and eventually like she was trying to tease him and shit, and then he did see her panties.
Yeah, and then she's like, how could you look at my panties?
Even though I was tormenting you.
I'm just thinking that the director for the series is like looking online, looking at the scores slowly going down and down and down since the beginning of the season. They're like, we need more fan service! Panty shot!
Woo, panty shot! But overall, this arc was not a bad setup episode. I'm interested to see where they go. Because now Hamazura and Kinahata have people chasing them in like helicopters while they're driving down the street.
Yeah, I'm interested in Accelerator and Friends. I'm not super interested in Hamazura because it definitely just feels like they copy-pasted Toma and put him in another situation. It's just Toma without a magic breaker, pretty much.
Yeah, which, although it is interesting to note that Hamazura was able to take down a level 5, like, and actually just show out mostly okay for it. A level 0, who isn't Toma, taking down a level 5. That's pretty impressive. But I do want to see, like, if his character evolves, like, maybe there's more material for him in, like, a certain magical index New Testament or something. But like, I don't know if we're going to get New Testament anytime soon. We might. Maybe they're trying to rush through all the certain magical index stuff so we can get into New Testament territory. But overall, I'd say that this series is good. I don't really see that I'm going to drop it anytime soon. It's enjoyable.
It's fun.
It's fun. It's kind of like junk food.
Yeah.
you know it's not particularly great, but you're enjoying it anyway. But it's something that I actually am, I think, going to enjoy this season. Dororo. AKA, as you put it, Flesh Mega Man.
Yeah, we got to see a little more human side from Hyakumaru.
Yeah.
This episode, it was near the end. When he like spelled his name out for Dororo.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, like, I'm just curious though. It's like, can he hear them? Because like that was the whole thing. Like Dororo was basically talking to a brick wall this whole time.
Yeah. So like the first half of the episode, it was when Dororo was talking to Hyakumaru, he was like, blah 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 blah. Oh wait, you can't hear me.
And
hey, tell me your name.
Yeah, but at the same time, he would he would, like, step in front of him, and he's not supposed to be able to see, but he would, like, step in front of him, and he would just, like, walk around him.
Well, he can't see. He can see little blobbies.
Yeah, he can. It's like it's some mystical ability. Like he's able to see like the fire in people's hearts or something like that.
Yeah, that's what the old man, I think.
Yeah. The old man had taught him that, as far as we can tell. So he can, and the only reason why he stuck around with Dororo so far is because he didn't really see him as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't really see him so far as a means to protect him or anything in particular, but. I don't know, maybe they're, like, I'm actually interested to see maybe where their relationship will go, where their friendship will go.
Yeah, I think one of the most interesting parts of the series is going to be Hyakimaru suddenly learning what it's like to be a human.
Yeah, exactly.
Because his life before was probably just eat, sleep, kill.
Yeah, and, yeah, exactly. Like, we don't really know a whole lot about Hyakimaru yet, or what his life has completely been like, but at the very least, I'm intrigued. Like, we are able to get some context clues in regards to it, but we really don't know that much about him yet. It is going to be interesting to have, like, some form of legitimate companionship with Dororo, and how they're relying on each other. Because there was actually a really cool little bit when they were trying to fish, I think. Like, and Dororo was actually trying to teach him how to fish better, or something like that, or how to cook them better.
Yeah, he taught him how to cook it, because up until this point, I'm assuming Hyakimaru was he just ate the raw fish.
Yeah, exactly.
And he didn't really... I'm assuming it probably tasted good, because he kept eating it, but he doesn't understand how to use face.
Well, at the same time, I don't think he can taste anything.
Well, no, he probably has taste buds.
Well, he doesn't have a tongue. He can't talk.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So he wouldn't be able to taste anything.
Well, at least he has teeth.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, that's one thing he's got going for him. He's got teeth. But I do like how Dororo and Hyakimaru are sort of like helping each other out. There's sort of like a mutualistic relationship between the two of them, and it'll be interesting to see where it goes. Like, I'm interested in that at least. Plus, I will say this: the character design for Dororo himself is actually kind of adorable.
Yeah, you can definitely see the old school.
Yeah, you can see like the Astro Boys type deal,
yeah.
Which again, it totally makes sense because it's the same creator.
Yeah,
but.
So the fight episode was kick-ass.
Oh, yeah.
I love how... So Dororo, obviously... Or not Dororo. Hyakimaru doesn't want to drop his hands.
Yeah.
So I love how he pulls one arm off, and then with his... So he pulls the left arm off with his right hand, and then he puts his right hand in his mouth.
Oh, yeah!
So he's just, like, holding both of his hands in his mouth, and then he goes around cutting things up.
And it turns out, like, this totally not dangerous village they're brought to is actually home to, like, a demon-worshipping cult, it seems.
Yeah, as soon as they showed the girl, like, just her upper body, and already knowing we were in a world where the demons exist, I was like, I've seen Inuyasha, I know where this goes.
Yeah, exactly. I do think that this is going to be a really enjoyable series. We're going to see a conclusion to, I think, a pretty damn well animated fight, because it's Studio Mappa, and they seem to be pulling out all the stops here for it.
Yeah, he got a thing at the end of the last episode. Mm-hmm. He, like, leaned over and held his face.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's probably his eyes.
Yeah, and then there was Dororo, actually, like laying at night, and he was, like, having some terrible dreams, and, like, Hyakimaru kind of looked at it and acknowledged that. It was subtle from him, but it's definitely an interesting little bit. I am looking forward to this series. Next up
is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind.
Okay. So, you want to see some of the most disturbing shit of all time? Just watch.
Oh God!
It reminds me of Parasite. When
talking about the hook thing, right?
Yeah, of course. It's just the same kind of thing happened in Parasite when the little parasite, the initial stage of Migi, like bored into his hand and then was like crawling up his vein.
It gives me flashbacks to I don't remember what year it was, but it was the Mummy movie.
Oh,
with, Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
With the scarabs. And
God. That was like 99, I want to say.
Yeah, like that kind of thing has always just like, I hate things under skin. It just makes me cringe so hard.
Yeah, it's pretty disgusting.
Anyway, so Mr.
Pesci is completely incompetent, I've determined.
Well, his stand isn't really conducive to combat, and he's definitely really stupid. But it was cool seeing a little bit more info about his stand, how he literally can tell like exactly what he's hooked onto. He's like, oh, it's a guy,
yeah,
and he's this weight and this height.
Yeah, no, that stuff was all pretty fascinating.
Beach Boys.
Yeah. or Fisherman, as they call it, hilariously. Only problem, I think, with Pesci is very much if Okuyasu was a bad guy. Well, Okuyasu before he turned into a friend, actually.
Okuyasu was pretty competent near the end.
Well, exactly. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Okuyasu has acknowledged that he has a very powerful stand. He just doesn't know how to use it to the best of his capabilities because he's not smart.
Yeah.
Pesci is kind of like that, except I think a little bit more of a whiny bitch. And
a literal rubberneck.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Every time he gets grabbed, it's just like your hand dragging across the balloon.
Oh, man. Again, Mista is able to use Sex Pistols in a very creative way. Like, his stand, a lot of people were criticizing him before. Like, it's like, oh, he's just kind of like a weaker, like, version of Whole Horse. This episode proved them wrong.
Yeah, Whole Horse can't send messages with his bullets.
Yeah, he can't send messages with his bullets. He can't, like, use his stand to stop bullets, apparently. That was really weird. When I first saw that, like, because Prosciutto... It's weird that a lot of them are named after food. I just want to point that out. Because prosciutto's a type of meat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, prosciutto's a type of meat. Pesci, I'm pretty sure, means fish. I could be wrong about that.
I don't know about that one.
But, prosciutto just point blank, like, after giving this, like, big declaration to Pesci about, like, what it means to be, like, a member of the Hitman team, he just shoots Mista point blank in the head 3 times. And Mista doesn't die. I looked at that and I was like, oh, Mista's dead?
Yeah. I definitely think they over-dramatized how badly he got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's dead now. Maybe that was like his last breath. But so what happened is like Prosciutto shot him in the head, but since he put the ice in his hat, because his stand was all shriveled up, when his stand hit the ice, then it got revived and it was able to stop the bullets from going into his head.
I actually will say this from Prosciutto, by the way. It was super clever of him to actually disguise himself just as an old man and hide among the passengers.
I did not expect that at all. I didn't expect him to use his stand on himself.
Yeah, but then at the same time, he's able to like completely reverse it. So I guess it's not really that much of a risk, which actually is just like, okay, that's actually really cool. I guess I hadn't considered it. Like, I'd just assumed that he'd be immune to the effects of the stand because...
Yeah, me too.
But, like, I think because even Fugo is immune to the effect of purple haze.
Yeah, I would assume. I don't think it's specifically told us.
Yeah, so. I mean, I hope so, because that would be really ineffective to an already dangerous stand.
Especially considering how it's such a... It's a high-power stand, so I'm assuming it's probably pretty close range.
Exactly. But I want to say that was also really cool is that how they determined... that it was an animal of some sort that was just hiding underneath the thing. It's just like, there's a piece of shit here.
Yeah, I always love this show's exposition about everything. It's so campy and goofy.
Yeah, but then, of course, Bucciarati does something even better. He just freaking hides in, like, the dimensional space in between, like, the plating of the train. And then uses sticky fingers to, like, fly himself out.
Yeah, so we got, at the end of this episode, we have the possibility of Bucciarati being dead, Mista being dead, and or Prosciutto being dead, and or maybe all of them.
Yeah, we don't know. I don't think Bucciarati will die. Like,
well, we know that they're not shy about
killing off
characters.
Well, I don't imagine that Bucciarati is going to die this early. Like, I'll imagine he'll die at some point, but I don't imagine they'll kill him off this early. Because even Shigechi, it took a while for them to blow him to smithereens. So, who knows? We'll see. It definitely, like, Bucciarati seems a little too important to the plot to just kill off right off the bat. But if they do, and Giorno has to be the new capo, that would be interesting. Although I don't understand how he'd convince everybody to make him the new capo.
Yeah.
Because he's very new to the organization. But, I don't know. I guess we'll see, won't we? On to the next show that is quite possibly going to be one of my favorites this season. Kaguya-sama, Love is War. We watched this today, and this second episode just proves that this is going to be a hilariously fun ride.
Yeah, Kaguya is definitely, everywhere online, just fan art, clips, etc. I love, what's her name? The pinker girl.
Chica, I think.
Chica, yeah. I think she makes such a good middle person for the jokes.
Exactly. She's just, and hereto yet unseen member of the student council. Because we have the president, the vice president. I'm pretty sure Chica's the treasurer, and that leaves this last person. I think
there's a guy who's in like the ending.
Yeah,
and I think he's probably also in the opening as well.
Yeah, I think so. And I think he's supposed to be the secretary, like, because I'm pretty sure those are the 4 positions for any student council or any like student government thing in general. Like just president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer, which. It's actually kind of hilarious because that character, I think, is when they showed him in like in the bit when it's like, oh, imagine going to the mountains thing, like everybody going on a trip. You just see him sort of like off to the right, just kind of obscured by black smoke. So I think it's kind of alluding to the fact that he either A, doesn't like to be seen, or B, isn't seen as particularly important by everybody else.
I was really confused in the beginning of this episode because they did like the whole explanation of who Kaguya and Miyuki were.
Yeah.
Like, wait, are we on the first episode again?
Yeah. Which I will give them a little bit of credit that they were at least showed a different sequence, but it ultimately boiled down to the same thing.
Yeah,
like the whole they go on, they give us it's like, look how distinguished they are. I'm pretty sure word for word it actually told us the exact same information we'd already known. And then even kind of down to are those two dating? No way, they couldn't be dating. I wonder what kind of stuff they talk about in the student council room. And then Miyuki has a smartphone, which, since he's a cheapskate, surprises literally everybody.
I was more surprised by the fact that Kaguya had a fucking Nokia flip phone.
Yeah, and she's super rich. What even?
Just, infinitesimal amount of money that I can't even
300 trillion yen or something like that.
Just
some random number, but holy shit, that's a lot of money. I think that's $30 trillion.
It's a lot of dollars.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. But she has an infinite amount of wealth, and on top of that, it really shows because. When they were saying, no, we should go to the sea next. And then he's trying to give all these different things about how to get out of it. Like, sunburns are a girl's worst enemy. I'll get the highest grade sunscreen and then a first-rate dietitian to get for skincare.
Yeah,
there might be sharks.
She has a book.
Yeah.
With I think she said I wrote down multiple notebooks of any situation to counter with you, which really shows you how much she likes him.
Either, how much she likes him, and B, how much she wants to win. Because that's ultimately what this is. It's a battlefield, and she wants to win. They both do. Yeah. And that's why it's hilarious. Because it's just downright enjoyable. Even then, she still pulls, some really, really tricky little things, like her little fake tears get up.
Yeah. I live to see her reactions of genuine embarrassment.
Yeah.
And her actually showing her little I actually like him side.
Yeah.
That's my main draw of the show. Yeah.
Because it's obvious these two like each other, and I think that's kind of the point. I think that's kind of the point of the show is because most romance comedies, you see, the two main characters, obviously like each other from the get-go, but there's always, some kind of contrived circumstances that prevent them from confessing to each other, or, oh, I'm not ready for it, things like that. And, sometimes it works, but we've seen it so many times, so it's actually kind of hilarious that, no, this is actually just legitimately a competition between the two of them. They're
perfect for each other.
Yeah, it's a nice spin on a somewhat tired genre at times. I really am liking this series, and I think a lot of other people are liking it too.
Yeah.
Because Kaguya is super adorable. Miyuki is a hilarious and awesome character. I just look forward to seeing more of their banter and planning, and just everything about this show is just hilarious.
Yeah, definitely. So, next up is Kemurikusa.
So, how do you take a show with a somewhat interesting premise at the beginning, and maybe it doesn't have the best resources, but there's a lot of heart behind it. How do you keep people invested? Not with the second episode.
God, this isekai protag. I want to stab him in the throat.
Because he contributes nothing. He contributes literally nothing.
Well, he contributes something in the way that he exists solely for
info dumping.
Rin, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Just to explain everything about the world to him.
Yeah.
And the whole time he was just going, I see.
Yeah, just this episode was so boring. Like, and seeing them walk around and actually like exploring the world, that was fascinating. But just the way they went about it, like, and just basically like info dump.
So, good example of this, of how to do it right. Girls Last Tour.
Yes.
They're not always talking all the time. Sometimes they're just driving around in their tractor or riding around, and it's just showing this world, and you want to know more about it. Because it's such an interesting world in the background as everything's passing by, and they're just kind of existing in this world. You don't have to info dump everything.
And I think what makes that also work is because the two of them are both young, they're both kind of ignorant about the world, so they're both kind of discovering it together. Like, they each have their own strengths and weaknesses and sort of differing personalities, and that's why it works, because they're able to kind of bounce off each other, and the banter is usually really engaging. Here, there wasn't a lot of that. If any of it, it was just sort of, I know nothing of this world. I'll patiently explain it to you, I guess, because I'm a bland girl with a crush on you, I guess.
That's the thing we do know. She has a crush on him.
Yeah, I want to like the show. Yeah, I really do.
I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and just think that they were just using this episode to lay the groundwork for the world, and they're gonna make up for it with the next episode, because the end of it was pretty cool. I like how, like, the bus, or train, it just kind of gets up and walks onto the track.
Okay, yeah, that was
kind of shuffles
cool.
along.
Yeah, no, there's definitely some interesting concepts here, but other than that, this second episode just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth overall.
Yeah, you sound like you're just about to throw up.
No, I was trying not to burp. I'm sorry. But overall, yeah, I'm willing to give this episode, this series, one more shot, but
one more episode.
I'm really on the fence, kind of leaning towards dropping it.
Yeah, you're sitting there like a Roman emperor with your thumb sideways.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I don't even know if that was a thing. Was that a thing? Leave a comment if that was a thing.
Like, comment, and subscribe if that was a thing.
Oh, and you say you hate shilling. But anyway, here's another show that I'm sort of on the fence about. Magical Girl Spec-Ops Asuka.
Is, in my opinion, another mostly disappointing episode.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know if disappointing is the right word, because my expectations weren't very high.
Yeah.
It was just mostly a boring episode.
Yeah, you feel it was kind of generic. Like,
it's like the definition of an average show.
Yeah, which is a shame, too, because conceptually, some of these things are actually pretty fascinating. Like, actually treating magical girls as the most fascinating thing about this show is the whole, magical girl, they all became magical girls, they fought against, these terrifying monsters and stuff like that. That's already happened. So what comes next? I think that's a fascinating concept. How do they go back to the people they were? Can they go back to the people they were? Stuff like that.
The main character seems very boring.
Yeah.
Very uninspired. But I was very interested in two different parts of this episode. Mm-hmm. One being the dad of a high school girl who his job is to torture people.
Yeah. One of her friends, actually. Yeah. One of Asuka's friends from school.
His job is to torture people to get information for, whatever, government or magical girl society.
Yeah, exactly.
Going on. I thought he was a pretty interesting character, they were just kind of having a water cooler talk.
Yeah.
And then you see his eyes kind of narrow, and he's kind of focuses, is all right, time to get back to work. And you see this two very different personas that he has, because he has to protect his mind, pretty much.
Yeah, he's got the sort of loving, doting father, because he's talking about how great his daughter is and stuff like that. But then he's got the completely insane torturer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's fascinating. And the other part I think you said was fascinating off camera was the... what was it?
It was the relationship between
Kurumi, aka War Nurse, and Asuka, because the whole guilt tripping thing. Because
it was a very interesting little psychological trip, because you see how Kurumi is saying how could you just make me a magical girl and then leave?
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a very uncomfortable moment
where she's just very close.
She hugs her on the swings, you're not allowed to break your promise again. Don't just make sure you don't do it, and we're fine. And I think that's kind of the beginning of a very interesting yandere kind of situation.
Yeah, I think that that's actually also kind of fascinating. And to say that I'm not entirely sure if uninspired is necessarily the right word for Asuka. Like, maybe a little bit, but for me, I personally see her as sort of a traditional, like, war veteran type character who is sort of trying to readjust to society.
I don't know, maybe it's the voice actor or the writing. It's just,
You weren't particularly engaged in
exactly, it. Like, I don't feel particularly interested in her or in her situation or the situation of those around her. Really.
Yeah, exactly. Because the other two girls, with the exception of the scene when I don't even remember her name, which I don't think bodes well.
PTSD girl.
Yeah, I thought that was actually kind of interesting because it's like, okay, this is somebody who's probably dealt with this kind of situation before and was actually trying to help her get through it. I actually liked that scene personally.
I'm expecting a very generic plot to come out in the next few episodes of I finally got out, but they pull me back in. Like, because her friends are going to be in danger, so she has to come back and help her friends.
Yeah, exactly.
But they could do something interesting with that by the whole yandere guilt trip friend she has, where it becomes like a very unhealthy mental environment for her. Yeah,
and that might actually even play into why she left in the first place. But we don't know. I will say some of the fighting is actually pretty interesting because we got to fight we fought another weird, like, sort of teddy bear looking thing, which that was actually, I think that was just trying to go for shock value because it's just playing with his head, like tossing it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They definitely use the gore. It's very distasteful gore, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't know, maybe it'll make more sense later on, but right now it just seems like it doesn't serve a purpose.
Yeah.
Like in the end of that episode where one of the girls stabbed a police officer in the eye with a pair of scissors.
Yeah. I mean, I was just like, okay, that just happened.
Like, I want to go on the record saying I have no problem with gore.
Yeah.
When it's used well.
Yeah, I will say that this does feel like a little bit of edgy gore just for the sake of it.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, and I don't know, maybe that'll play more into it later, but at the same time, this show, I can recognize it has potential, but at the same time, I think that it might just end up being just another average Monica wannabe.
So, next up is the Magnificent Kotobuki.
Once again, showing that this is actually a CG show done right.
Yeah, I said it last episode, but just like, the 2D animation looks good. The CG looks good. Pick one. Yeah, exactly.
Be consistent!
Especially when they do it for, like, the same character. Like, sometimes, the main girls are mostly in CG.
Yeah.
But, like, there's a few scenes where they're not.
Yeah.
It's just weird.
It's like, wait, what's happening? Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Why?
But good episode. Another good episode.
Yeah, more pretty awesome dog fighting. Like, that's pretty self-explanatory. Interesting just seeing... I think one of the most interesting things about this show is just watching the squad interact with each other.
Yeah, all the characters are already... It's only episode 2.
Yeah.
And all the characters are just bursting with personality.
Yeah, like, all of them, like, they have such... Like, it's fast-paced and witty banter, which at first I thought was a little jarring, because it almost seemed like it might be going a little too quick, but at the same time, it just is really snappy, and I actually appreciate that now, because, like, they just bounce off each other just so quickly, which makes sense, because... They've probably spent a lot of years flying together. They probably know each other, and they all have their own unique quirks, personalities, and stuff.
Yeah, I love Kotobuki.
Yeah,
like that's the girl, right? The red hair girl, the leader.
I don't think so. I don't think her name is Kotobuki. I think Kotobuki is just the name of the squadron. But you mean the one with the ponytail?
The leader.
Yeah, she's just sort of just like, get your act together. I'm gonna kick you off the ship.
The writing and the voice actress definitely mesh pretty well, and she's a very commanding figure. Like, I can feel the charisma, and I can feel why everyone listens to her.
Yeah, exactly, because she is definitely like the epitome of that big sister who is just watching a bunch of little kids just cause chaos and is just trying to keep everything under control. Mm-hmm. Like, she's just annoyed with them all the time, but also cares about them, and that's really cool. She wants them, Kaylee and Chica, those are the two main focuses of this one. Turns out, they're rivals, but they're also very similar, more similar than they'd like to admit, that whole trope. But she just wants them to learn from their past mistakes.
Which they do, kind of.
They're able to work together and I want to say this, like, most of the most of it, the frustration and stuff, like, they didn't have to resort to, like, flashbacks and just, like, kind of slamming you in the face. They were able to do, kind of indicate their relationship and their inability to work well with each other in the past just by a dialogue. And they didn't, like, ham-fistedly say it either, I think.
Yeah, they did a very good job of making you feel the relationship that they've built up over time. Yeah, like
exactly.
you said, without flashbacks.
Yeah, without
you don't have to use flashbacks.
Like
Karakuri Circus.
Oh, God. We don't need to talk about Karakuri Circus anymore. And then the main focus of this episode was they were trying to escort a fucking bitch of a lady.
Yeah, she had, like, some kind of relationship with the mistress.
The madam, I believe.
The madame.
Yeah, the madame. But...
escort mission.
Yeah, it was
everyone's favorite thing.
Yeah, nothing's wrong with escort missions at all. Ugh, God. But, yeah, it's
Dead
eventually...
Rising flashbacks.
Follow me! Yeah, come on!
I
I was also thinking of, like, I'm not sure if anybody else has played this game, but Spartan Total Warrior. There was It's basically God of War, but versus there's a mission where you actually have to escort the Greek philosopher Archimedes, like, through the streets. And I just remember that part being super annoying. I'm just
they
like,
suck.
ugh, escort missions.
But we got more. What I said last episode, they don't force dialogue.
Yeah.
During, like, a lot of the dogfight scenes. There was a little more dialogue during the dogfights in this episode, but that was mostly to highlight Kylie and Chica's relationship, and how pissed off they were at each other.
Yeah, it's like, you're not supposed to cover my back. It's like, don't cover my back, don't run away. It's just stuff like that. It was funny. I enjoyed this, and how they were able to just, like, now, like, and just how they coordinated that. Maybe they'd tried to do something like that in the past and just didn't. But they're even pointing out that the Hayabusa planes, the ones that they fly, aren't necessarily the most beneficial planes to use, but in the hands of the right pilots, they're incredibly advantageous. So that's another thing that just kind of shows these girls are incredibly skilled pilots. Like, they probably have been working on this for a long time. Which,
I'm assuming most of their lives based on how young they look.
Yeah, they can't be more than, like, their late teens, early 20s.
Yeah, but also it's anime, so who knows?
So, who knows? I really don't know.
How old is the teacher in Index?
She's, like, supposed to be in her 30s.
Yeah, exactly.
and she's like a lolly.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm really enjoying this series. It's definitely looking strong to keep.
Next up is Mob Psycho 100.
All right, 2 to be specific.
2. Yeah. So I didn't expect big round chonky boy to have actual psychic powers.
Yeah, I was expecting to be another showboater like Reagan.
Exactly.
But I think that was actually really cool. Like, we actually get a little bit more characterization on Dimple too, like this episode.
You mean that, like, he actually cares enough to not let the guy die?
Yeah, that, and also, like, I mean, and part of it's a pride thing, like, I think, because at the end of the day, he wants Mob to trust him. Like,
yeah, like, I think it started out of him thinking,
oh, maybe I can get him to, maybe I can manipulate him and eventually take over him and imagine how powerful I'll be.
Yeah, but he's kind of slowly shifting towards being an actual character.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Like, I think this writer has a tendency to do that quite a bit, actually. Like, because
What do you mean?
Because this is the same guy who wrote One Punch Man. Like,
oh, you're talking about, like, what character specifically are you talking about?
Let's see. I guess in One Punch Man, he also does the same kind of thing with Saitama. Like, Saitama just seems like this unstoppable force, just kind of a goofball, but he's actually got, like, some pretty interesting and clear motivations to him. Like, he definitely is able to present, like, seemingly simple characters, but then eventually give more believability to them.
Yeah, that's what I felt about Mob watching the first season. Like, all the stuff I saw from the promotional material makes Mob look like an incredibly boring character.
Yeah.
But, the more you get to know him and how he has insecurities, he's actually a very deep character.
Or hell, even Reagan, he seems like a kind of a one-note con man, but there's so much more to him, like, the more you watch him. Like, he actually legitimately cares about Mob. He's actually legitimately trying to help him with his issues.
And he cares about dogs.
Yeah, he loves dogs. He absolutely loves dogs.
Like in this episode where he just goes out of his way just to wash the dog and get him all clean and stuff.
because it was the Legend of the Smiling Dog, or the Human Faced Dog, or whatever, and it was supposed to be like some major urban legend because they wanted to expand, because Reagan wanted to expand his market because like the jobs in Salt City, that is the name of the town, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it just doesn't have a lot of like clientele running in. So he's like, let's expand ourselves a little bit. Let's go to a nearby city and just look into some urban legends. Maybe we could actually find some potential new clients and things like that.
Oh man, that fight,
the Dragger
fight was just that was so such good Sakuga.
I love Bones.
Yeah.
Bones does such good, and again, as you pointed out, it's interesting to see such a big guy move the way he did. But at the same time, Dimple, I think, kind of overestimated himself because he possesses this big guy who earlier had a pretty hilarious moment where they thought he was like just a creepy child molester.
Street Fighter fight. In the park.
Yeah, I love how shameless some of the show can be with like its comedy and its references and stuff like that. But he's just moving around like ridiculously quickly, like jumping off of trees and stuff, but then he tries to slide and then his ankle just goes...
his Achilles tendon snaps.
Oh, yeah.
Which I've heard is incredibly painful.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. Just like any sort of like ligaments or tendons, things like that. Like having tendonitis, like if you've ever had like a swollen tendon before, that shit's painful. And like as somebody who's dealt with shin splints, just microscopic muscle tearing. It's pretty bad. I'll tell you that right now. It's pretty freaking painful. But anyway, that scene was awesome. And then Mob, of course, is able to end up saving the day.
Yeah, I like how his way of winning pretty much boiled down to the fact that he was a fucking loser.
Yeah, exactly. I'd almost forgotten about that. But you're
the
right.
only reason he was able to beat the Dragger is because he didn't believe in it. It's like, I didn't know about this.
Yeah, because the main reason it was so effective against Reagan and Dimple, and I forget the other guy's name, but I imagine he's probably going to be a reoccurring character from this point forward, because that's just the kind of show this is. The only reason like the Dragger was so powerful against them is because it was an urban legend given life, and they believed in the urban legend and remembered, oh, that's scary as shit. And they were so afraid of it that it sort of hampered their ability to deal with it. Mob, since again, as you so eloquently put it, he's a fucking loser. Like he's not hip with the kids.
Yeah.
Like because he doesn't follow urban legends, it just kind of accepts it and just deals with it. Like, oh, that was easy.
But you know what the best part of this episode was?
Remind me.
Fucking Dash Grandma.
Oh my god.
It was animated so well.
Yeah, and just like everybody just trying to say basically with Mob, it's like, you're on your own! Like every man for themselves. And Mob, even despite the fact that he's trying his best with a body improvement club, but still is ridiculously out of shape.
His first tragic memory with the urban legend was that an old woman could run faster than he could.
Yeah.
I want Dash Grandma to be a recurring character.
That would be awesome. Maybe she could even be like this series version of Moomin Rider.
Or just like make her a cameo.
Yeah,
just in every episode. If you gotta look for her and you find her just running in the background.
Oh, so you mean sort of like the waving snail in Adventure Time?
Yeah.
The waving snail in Adventure Time, or the freaking baboon always just running up the hill in BoJack Horseman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if they did that. Let's hope. So next up, my roommate is a cat. Okay.
Boy, I thought I was socially awkward.
Yeah, no kidding. I thought I was.
Just he's having a mental breakdown about going to the store to buy cat food.
Yeah.
Jesus, man.
Like, because he wanted to order it online, which, okay, fine, I get that, but it's like, it won't arrive for 2 days, but the cat needs food now. And then he goes to a freaking pet store, and first he tries to go to a supermarket. That's too crowded, so he decides, let's go to a pet store. That'll be much better. But then he's like, this was a mistake!
God, like, it was so uncomfortable to watch, because he was basically having an entirely different conversation with the girl because he didn't have the mental fortitude to be able to understand at all what she was trying to say.
Yeah, not being able to pick up on social cues and shit like that. It almost makes me wonder if this character is supposed to be on the spectrum, because he doesn't really get social things, it seems.
I think it's just incredibly socially awkward.
I mean, sure, that's also a possibility. But anyway, I think that it's hilarious too. Like, you pointed out that you think this is kind of a problem, like them kind of showing like the same episode twice, pretty much. Like once from the main character's point of view, and the next from the cat's.
Yeah, I think the show would flow a lot better if they didn't go part 1, part 2, instead of if they went like to guy part, cat part, guy part, cat part, guy part.
Exactly.
Like just cut them up and then splice them together.
Yeah.
I think it would work out a little bit more, because I absolutely love the parts with Haru.
Yeah.
I love the cat's personality.
Yeah,
I love the voice actor for the cat.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, like, after watching these 2 episodes, I just found myself thinking, I just want to hear the cat more. Like,
yeah, exactly.
The guy's alright, but in my opinion, he's pretty much like half of a duo. Like, he can't really carry a show by himself.
Yeah, like, I think that's kind of the point. I don't think the cat probably, I don't think he could either, though, is the thing.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be like, it's like trying to make a Minions movie.
Ugh. Oh,
Yeah.
wait, they did that?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's something that's funny
In the context,
but not taking it separately.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
sort of like it'd be sort of like if they tried to do if you remember the whole, like, Garfield without Garfield comics. Like, it was just John talking to himself.
That sounds terrible, but I've never heard of it.
That was a popular meme for a while there, where they would just take, like, Garfield comic strips and just cut out the parts of Garfield, so John looked like a fucking crazy person.
I like this show.
Yeah.
And
I think it's super adorable.
It's kind of just an average for me right now.
Yeah.
I want it to get better.
Yeah.
Like, I think it has potential, but,
yeah. For me, I'll admit that for me, like, the whole splitting up the segments, it doesn't bother me too much. Like, I personally, like, I don't have too many problems with it myself, but I can certainly see why others would. For me, it just feels like part of the bit almost. And then you don't even see, like, everything, like, completely, like, the same either. Like, there are some, like, little moments that are from Haru's perspective, which, by the way, funny little thing, Haru, the cat, thinks that it means food. So anytime he hears his name, he thinks, food!
I knew it meant food.
Yeah, I knew it! That was actually super adorable, but we do get to see a little bit of extended things just when the cat's off doing his own thing, which I personally like. If it was just, like, kind of cutting them off and having, like, no new things, no new information, I could see how that could get very boring very quickly. But for me, I don't have any problems with it as it is. But that's just me. Maybe others might agree, others might not. So next up?
Next up is The Price of Smiles.
Alright, so I actually looked into this episode a little bit. Some people on Kitsu were complaining about it because they felt like it was just, we're getting introduced to a new, like, cast of characters all of a sudden, and we're almost like, we're basically giving people system shock by showing these new cast of characters while completely disregarding the arc from that had happened 2 episodes ago. I don't agree with that sentiment.
Yeah, I disagree with that entirely.
Yeah.
I feel like I got enough time to learn about the kingdom of Soleil.
Yeah,
Soleil. And Yuki.
Yeah.
As well as
and Joshua?
Joshua. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's dead. We got a little arc about that. But this is, like, this story, it doesn't just feel like a story about the kingdom of Soleil. It feels the story about 2 different kingdoms.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm glad that we're getting introduced to this it seems like the other main character of the show.
Yeah, and I'm, like, judging from the opening and stuff like that, they're definitely the 2 main characters of this show. Like, these are, like, it's gonna be interesting because if you look at the characters as they are, like, Yuki is supposed to be, like, the young idealistic princess who, while well-intentioned, is sort of naive, and she wants the world to be a good place, and I think she certainly has the potential once she is able to come into her own, but at the moment she just doesn't have the experience or the light or just the wisdom to pull it off just yet. Mm-hmm. So just give her some time. Meanwhile, you have the new main character, Stella Shining, weird last name, but with her, she's definitely supposed to be, like, I imagine she was, like, a child soldier, so her life is definitely a lot more jaded.
Yeah, she smiles a lot, which...
she's just insane.
I don't know if insane's the right word. I think it's more of protecting herself.
Yeah.
Like, she's just learned to, like, if I keep smiling, then everything's gonna be okay, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is really interesting, just this episode of getting introduced to her squad mates. Gail Owens.
Yeah,
The commanding officer in charge of her group.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that we're seeing a war from two different sides, because it's kind of realistic, because a lot of times in war, there is no good and bad. Like, what you see as the bad guy, they'll see as the good guy.
Yeah, exactly. And it's ultimately showing just the tragedies of war in general, because a lot of this episode was focusing on, they're trying to infiltrate this base to steal, like, I don't know what the technology is called.
Surgear.
Yeah, Surgear, I guess. They're trying to steal that, because if they do, it'll kind of hamper the kingdom's food supply.
Yeah, because not only do they stop a large amount of food going to the front lines of the fight, but they also steal the means to make it.
Yeah, exactly.
And also reproduce that prototype sewer gear.
Yeah, exactly. And which the Empire apparently desperately needs, because their kingdom isn't faring well. Like, they've already kind of established that the Empire does not have that many resources. If you played Fire Emblem Fates, it's sort of like the situation between the Norian Empire and the Kingdom of Hoshido. Because Hoshido has a lot of natural resources and stuff. Nor does not.
Yeah, it's a story that's been told plenty of times.
Yeah.
It's a group that's forced into war, because if they don't, then the country's going to die.
Exactly. And they probably have tried doing more peaceful negotiations and stuff in the past, but nobody's helped them. So, which is why they're turning to more desperate measures.
Yeah, what I hope is that we're going to see a lot of bad people at the top of the Empire side, but I also hope we see some bad people at the top of the Soleil side. Yeah. Because what I think it's going to be is going to kind of be where you got Yuki, who wants to end things peacefully, and Stella, who also just wants everyone just to be at peace. Like, they don't want to fight, but they fight because they have to. But I hope they don't just paint Soleil as the good guys and the Empire as the bad guys.
Yeah, exactly. Or bad guys that mean what? But bad guys that are justified, really. Yeah. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense to me. That would get very boring if they just did that.
I liked a little highlight was Stella. She's a good person, obviously, at heart. I mean, like, she obviously kills people that are the enemy. Mm-hmm. But there was a point where the kids weren't. The guy who was leading the kids was like, "No, we're not going to leave. Just tell them to do the thing." And she's like, "Okay." So for every few seconds or every minute that you say you're not going, I'm going to shoot one of these children. Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, like, I think it was a bluff. I don't think she was obviously going to do it. Yeah. But it was what she needed to say to get the kids away from the explosion at the time.
Yeah, and it was actually really sad because even though she did want to save them, like, they still recognized her as a villain because they were war orphans. They lost their parents directly because of the conflict between the Empire and the Kingdom. That's just what had happened. Like, it was an unfortunate circumstance, but being young children, and losing your parents, that's what matters. That's your entire world, pretty much. Your world is completely flipped upside down when that happens, so of course you're going to be angry, and you're going to be upset at the people who you think are responsible for it.
It was a pretty good job of setting up the realistic expectations of war, especially after the first episode, because, like, I'm almost convinced at this point that episode was pretty much there to lull us into a false sense of security. Yeah. And it kind of like from the eyes of Yuki.
Yeah.
She just sees this small little world that nothing ever goes wrong in.
Yeah, and most people are just trying to protect that. They're basically trying to protect her delusions. And I imagine that's probably something to do with the fact that, like, obviously people just want to rule her as a puppet. Like, if nothing ever goes wrong, if she doesn't actually see, like, the horrificness of all these problems, then of course she's going to be easier to control. So I imagine if it goes the way that you think it will, which I certainly hope it does, people at the top are probably going to be ruling young Yuki as a puppet queen, which I could totally see. But overall, I really like this show so far.
Yeah, has not disappointed.
Yep. Next up, The Promised Neverland. Jump scares.
Yeah, Mama is always watching.
Oh god, it was so unsettling. A lot of people have talked about this series, and while reading the manga, they pulled very much a Junji Ito style jump scare, where it was like one panel was on a page, then you turn the page and then just Mama's there. Like, So, and Junji Ito had done that constantly. Like, you would turn the page and immediately there's something fucked up on the next thing. So it's just sensory overload and sensory shock. And they pulled this off in anime pretty well. There's like no stinger sound effect or anything like that. It just happened.
Yeah, it was very unsettling.
Just
seeing her creepy face.
Yeah.
Because she obviously knows that something's going on.
Yeah.
She doesn't know exactly who did it. Like, I'm sure she has her suspicions.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see the chess game, basically, between the kids and Mama.
Yeah. It's related, so I'm going to jump forward to the end really quick. When they brought in the new adult and the infant. So,
yeah.
Emma wants to get everyone out. Like, everyone out safely.
Yeah.
It's very idealistic of her. Some would even say stupid.
Yeah.
But that's what she wants. And
because
Mama
these
knows
are her
this.
family.
Mama knows that, they all want to escape together. So what does she do? Not only does she bring in another adult for additional security, but she brings in an infant child that is going to make it even harder to get out now. Because if they want to take everyone and leave, then they're also going to have to take care of an infant. Exactly,
and they don't beat you over the head with that either. Like, and which I appreciate the good storytelling on that front, because it's just like they're considering the people who are watching the show to be capable of critical thinking and capable of just putting the pieces together, because that was actually a really good point. Just that creepy ass smile on her face, like the fuck you gonna do now? Pretty much. Just like, I know.
I like Norman a lot more in this episode too.
Yeah.
Because we get a little more insight into his character where he's not necessarily doing all this to help everybody. He's doing it mainly because he likes Emma.
Yeah.
And he's like, I like her, so I'm going to do what makes her happy. And he has like this kind of creepy shadowed look on his face for a moment before he like goes back to his normal smile.
Yeah. And I'd say it's interesting to think about how that's going to develop from this point forward. And then we also got a little bit of more insight into Ray as a character, which I'm looking forward to more of because, again, I like his design and I'm fascinated to see where he goes. His worldview is a little bit more realistic, but also some would say calloused. Because the thing is, he brings up a very good point. This place is supposed to be a sanctuary, so the world outside is going to be even scarier. Like, there's no way that all of us are going to survive on the outside there.
Yeah, I'm so... I don't know if excited is the right word. I'm so interested to see what is going to be outside the walls. Like, what kind of shitty dystopian future that they're... Or it could even literally just be a normal, happy future. Like, from the perspective of the people. Mm-hmm. Or the monsters.
Yeah.
What they see as monsters.
Yeah.
It could just be like a normal society... Where they're like, oh, hey, Steve, how's the wife? You're like, oh, yeah, she's fine. And then they, sit down at dinner and they plop a kid on the table and they start eating bits of it.
Oh, God, yeah, that'd be horrifying. And, they also revealed that it's not children necessarily they want to eat, it's their brains.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because the brains, pack the most nutrients and stuff like that. And the higher quality, so the more intelligent a kid is, and the older they are, it turns out, between the ages of 6 and 12... If they are 12, they're considered top-grade merchandise.
Yeah. I almost think it would be more... it would be less creepy if it was actually, dystopian and freaky outside.
Yeah.
I think it would be way more unsettling if things were just fine.
Yeah.
It was a normally functioning society.
Yeah, it's just, all of a sudden, there are just these children there.
And then you have this realization of, not only is it a perfectly functioning society and everyone's happy, but the kids are actually literally nothing more than cattle.
Yeah,
that's all they are. It's basically like going to a farm and seeing a bunch of cows.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it would be to them.
Yeah, you don't really pay much attention to it. You don't really think about the cows.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll eat a hamburger. I don't give a fuck.
I like hamburgers too much. I mean, I prefer chicken, but I don't know.
I mean, without getting too much on the topic, I would like animals to be treated well before they're butchered, but also I'm not going to complain when I go to McDonald's and eat a cheap hamburger.
yeah, pretty much. Now, I think, I'm really looking forward to this next episode. I'm anticipating what happens next. How are the kids going to escape from this situation? Because, as you pointed out, it's going to be a bunch of 6 to 12-year-olds trying to take care of a baby. Mm-hmm. I don't imagine that's going to be easy. Especially if you're on the run.
Yeah. So next up is the Quintessential Quintuplets.
Yeah, this was a show that actually kind of crept up on us.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, we didn't talk about this last week. It was already out.
Yep, exactly.
Surprise, we're talking about it now. It's a really good harem so far.
Yeah, like, I really don't have that many complaints about it. Like, I typically don't watch harems because they're usually very trashy, very predictable.
It's a genre that attracts a lot of bad writing.
Yeah, exactly. Because like, they know what works and they know that people are going to watch it anyway.
Yeah, just throw some ass and titties on the screen, people will eat that right up.
Yeah, exactly.
Just little chips and dip with my ass and titties.
Yeah. Yeah, this series so far is shaping up to be really interesting. Just judging from the premise and stuff like that, I wasn't expecting too much. Like, we had actually kind of disregarded it, but a friend of ours...
we put it in our speed run of all the shows that we weren't interested in.
Yeah, but then, so, apologies for suddenly introducing this, but a friend of ours just said, hey, you guys should at least check out the first episode. We're like, oh, okay. And we did it. It's like, okay, you know what? This is interesting.
So we have the main character who is not... He's not in this for romantic reasons.
Yeah.
Like, I'm assuming that romance is eventually going to bloom, because in the first episode, like, right before it started the episode, it showed him getting married to the main girl.
Yeah.
It looked like. And that could be just, maybe visual...
Yeah,
some like, kind of dream or something
like
that.
Yeah, visual subterfuge.
But it could also literally just be, and this is a story about how I met your mother.
Well, that's actually pretty much what they did, like, because they were reminiscing about the day they met. And, like, some people are trying to say the whole, like, oh, we don't know which one it's going to be, like, we don't, it's like, even manga readers don't know. It's like, if you've read any of these stories before, you know who it's going to be at this point. It's, like, so far, it's gotta be the main girl. Like, I don't remember her name right off the top of my head. It's not gonna be Yotsuba, it's not gonna be Miku, it's going to be... I want to say her name is Sakura or Sakaki or something like that. But she has like little star hairpins in her hair. That one. I'm almost certain it's going to be her because she seems to be like the central female protagonist. And usually you can tell like who it's going to be from the very first episode.
It's usually the first person they interact with is like the quote unquote canon love choice.
Now, that aside, there is one series that actually did throw me for a loop, and maybe they'll throw me for a loop here with that. It was Ichigo 100%. It was a harem series, kind of in a similar vein. Actually, not too bad.
Yeah, I've heard it was good.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the female protagonist isn't the one that he ends up with in the end.
But it usually is.
It almost usually, like, almost always is. Like, very few far between people, like, will go to that formula. Like you watch Toradora, for instance. It's like, oh, I'm sure they're going to end up together. Yep, they ended up together. Who'da thunk? It's pretty predictable.
Yeah, so in the first episode, he interacted a lot with the love interest, the main marriage girl choice that
more likely than not, it's going to be her.
Yeah, and he wants to be a tutor for them, specifically for money.
Yeah,
so
because
he can survive.
He's dirt poor.
Yeah, so that's already an interesting take on harem genre, because mostly it's like, oh, I think this girl's cute. Oh, but I also think that girl's cute.
Yeah, like, again, the thing about those is typically harem protagonists are just kind of supposed to be like self-insert for their male readers. They're typically not particularly fleshed out characters in and of themselves. This one actually does have his own motivations, his own ideas, he has a character and he has a personality right out of the gates.
Yeah, he's got some nice snark.
Yeah, he's got some nice snark to him, and he's a kind of a fun character to watch.
Yeah, the first episode was not a lot, there's not a lot to talk about. It was just pretty much setting up the sisters.
Yeah.
And setting up the situation of he's going to be their tutor. The second episode, we got the first character arc, pretty much.
Yep, introduce Miku, who I think is probably going to be my personal favorite of the series.
She's very, well, I mean, like, you say that now, but like as we introduce, you learn more about the other girls.
Yeah.
So your opinions might change.
Well, I agree. Like, all I'm saying personally is just based on her design and personality. So far, she's my favorite. Yeah, she's... You liked Yotsuba.
Oh yeah, right out of the gate. Yeah, I just love Yotsuba's character. I love like the airhead,
the Genki girl, so to speak.
Yeah, But Miku was a very unique girl, obsessed with
Sengoku warlords, and
it actually showed her playing like Sengoku Basara, on her like way station or whatever they want to call it.
Yeah, exactly. They entered, and it was actually kind of interesting. They were just listing off all the different Japanese warlords that they knew, and one of them actually was a Shimazu Toyohisa, who, if for longtime watchers of our podcast, was the main character in. It was a main character in freaking, I want to say it was Angomoy.
Angomoy, yeah.
Yeah, Angomoy.
That was summer.
Yeah, that was summer of last year.
Last year, yeah.
I can't believe the name escaped me.
Angomoy, good show.
I really enjoyed that show. Like, some people thought it might have been average, but anyway. So, back to Quintessential Quintuplets. I really liked Miku, and I liked her arc. So basically, it seems like these next few episodes are just going to be, how is he going to convince each of the girls to study? Because at the end of the first episode, there was a funny bit where he's just like, okay, I don't have to worry about tutoring all 5 of them. Just the ones that are in danger of failing. Spoiler warning. All of them are in danger of failing. And so he finds that out not 5 minutes into the first episode. It's like, you guys all scored 100%. 100. Combined, that is.
Yeah, we got a little actual... What's the word?
Heartwarming?
Heartwarming moment, yeah. Near the end of the second episode where he's actually... I mean, yeah, he's in it for money, but I think he's going to get more and more into it, just helping them not fail school.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what most of the interaction is going to be in the show, based off of the quality of writing we've seen so far. I don't think it's just going to be, random romance. The girls might have minor crushes on him or whatever, but I think it's mostly just going to be him helping them become smarter and actually... more interested in studying.
Yeah, and it was actually an interesting way. He realized something interesting. A pretty clever way of going about it, I think, is he realized that all the girls have their own unique interests and own unique talents and stuff like that, and that showed in their tests, because no 2 of them scored the exact same, answered the exact same right answers each time. He realized that because there's 5 of them, and because they're all so different, that those can actually be strengths and complement each other.
That was such a cool little moment.
Yeah, it was. I really liked that.
Yeah, because she was like, well, I know anything I can do, they can do, and that just made him a little aha moment.
I really liked that. It's definitely a really cool little writing device we got going here. This show is shaping up to be really fun. And I can't believe we were just going to disregard it.
Yeah, I can't wait to tell everyone that they're wrong about who their favorite girl is for the rest of this season.
Yeah, are you going to just say it's Yotsuba the entire season? Let's see.
I mean, I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Yeah. All right. I personally I'm probably going to stick with Miku, but we'll see. So, next up, Rising a Shield Hero, a.k.a. Please Protect Raccoon Girl.
Oh my god. Everywhere on the internet with this little raccoon girl.
She is freaking adorable.
She is adorable. I will admit that she is adorable. But it got a little exhausting near the end of the week where I was like, I guess I'll check the internet. I wonder what I'll see today.
Well, is it gonna be Raftalia again?
Must protect Raftalia memes.
Yeah, exactly. I like her character, that being said. Now, I will say this. I don't think their relationship is definitely the most healthy one.
Oh, it's not.
Granted, I also don't think it's supposed to be healthy.
Agreed. I am a little worried that they're going to gloss over the unhealthy aspects of it. Because throughout this episode, she's kind of Stockholm syndroming herself to like him more.
Yeah, because it's pretty obvious that she, like her previous masters, did not treat her well. And so, anytime he treats her with just some varying degree of just regular humanity, it just sort of oversimplifies everything else. In her mind, being treated just kind of coldly is better than being treated brutally. Which, again, I mean, it makes sense. He's clearly the better option, but that doesn't make it okay. Yeah, it's sort of like Happy Sugar Life, because obviously Shio is in better hands with Sato than anyone else, because if she was going to go back with her family, she'd be poor, she'd be probably starving. We don't really know what her situation would be like. With Sato, she actually, even though it's a ridiculously unhealthy relationship, and that's obvious to anybody who actually ships those two, what is wrong with you? But with Sato is someone who actually cares for her, actually pampers her, actually gives a rat's ass about her, and takes care of her. Is Sato still a terrible person? Yes. Yes, she is.
So, Nafumi, I wouldn't call him a terrible person.
Yeah.
I would call him a normal person who was kind of pushed into a corner by a bunch of people that, basically just told him he was a trash human being.
Yeah.
So he buys her clothes, he buys her food, teaches her how to fight, but at the end of the day, it's all to further his own interests.
Yeah, at the end of the day, she's still a slave.
There's even a lot of points where he's like, I order you to do this, and he's essentially like, do this, or I'm going to keep tasing you.
Mm-hmm. Or the other thing, like, he was getting attacked by this monster and let himself get bitten by said monster, and then he basically said, if you don't fight, I'm going to die, pretty much. So it's your decision. Even though he didn't really give her much of a decision.
Well, he did. I will give Naofumi this. In the end, he realized, well, she might just not even fight. So you might as well just get out of here. Yeah. Like, you might as well just leave. I'll die. Like, at least you'll survive. Yeah. A kind of little cynical moment. But like I'm sure that Naofumi is going to get attached to her. Like he's already, like, when she was crying, he kind of patted her head and told her it was going to be okay.
Yeah, that was actually a really nice little scene, because like she was having a horrific nightmare of the night that her parents died.
Which I want to say, really convenient. Plot device are like, yes, the shield hero. He was the one that was the nicest to us animal people,
to us demi-humans. Yeah. Which I don't know, like. I'm really liking the series so far. I think that once again, to people who are uncomfortable with the topic of slavery, you're right to be uncomfortable with it. It's not supposed to be a comfortable, happy relationship. I mean, as long as they focus on the fact that yes, this is supposed to be an uncomfortable, unsettling relationship, then that's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure it's gonna be a good show. Mm-hmm. I think it's around like probably like a 7.5 for me right now. Yeah. It'll go up probably if they handle this whole relationship between, like, I'm fine with eventually them, forming a healthy relationship as long as they don't skip over the part that he bought her as a slave and is treating her as a slave.
Yeah. Okay. And for people who are complaining about this, I point you to the Count of Monte Cristo, where they dealt with where there was a kind of similar relationship between the Count and Hede was her name. She was a slave who he bought, who she eventually fell in love with the Count. He didn't see her as a love interest, though, and kind of used her to further his own ends.
Yeah, well, people are going to complain about anything.
I agree.
Regardless.
I agree. I think that by just not dealing, though, with uncomfortable subject matter, you're just severely limiting yourself. You're not, like, it's okay to be, people need to realize sometimes it's okay to be offended. I wasn't going to say that slavery was okay.
Timesink Anime Podcast. Slavery is okay.
Yeah, we don't condone... Spoiler warning. We do not condone slavery. Slavery is a terrible practice. It should never have existed. Unfortunately, it does.
Ribs are good, though, right?
Oh, no. I'm not...
So I'm looking forward to Shield Hero.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to Shield Hero.
Yeah, I like his... I like his Kirby shield. I like Naofumi. I like Raphtalia. She needs to be protected.
But yeah,
But just don't disappoint me. With the unhealthy Stockholm Syndrome relationship development.
It looks like it's going to be a pretty solid deconstruction of the isekai genre in general. Yeah. Like, if it follows the same kind of footsteps as ReZero, and eventually delves into that uncomfortable shit even more, then I think we're in for a real treat.
Yep. So next up, we got Run with the Wind. He didn't punch him!
Okay, yeah.
Spoiler alert.
So spoiler warning, no, he did not punch Sakaki. He punched, although it was revealed in a flashback, he beat the ever-loving shit out of his coach.
Yeah, so this was a beautiful segue between episodes.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so perfect how he was about to punch the guy, and then they cut into the next episode with him punching someone in a flashback.
Yeah.
Like, that was so good. Like, the writing on that was just perfect.
Yeah, and then, like, you kind of are, and it's sort of like foreshadowing that the coach was the person that he punched, because we immediately knew from the get-go that it was somebody who wore glasses, and probably somebody that was close to him, because he actually referred to him as Kakeru, not Kurohara. Like, he referred to him by his first name, which I think is important. Because in Japanese culture, it's pretty common to refer to somebody by their last name. Very rarely will you refer to somebody by their first names, ever, especially without an honorific of some kind.
Yeah.
So, obviously his coach cared about, or the person who he hit was utterly shocked by the fact that he hit him, and actually had some kind of close relationship.
I think he definitely deserved it.
Oh yeah, no,
his coach was a piece of shit.
His coach was a douchebag. I mean, unfortunately, on some regards, he did have the right of it. Because the kid who was constantly, fucking up his legs and stuff like that, granted, it was because of the coach's ridiculous regime. Mm-hmm. I mean, but if somebody if somebody doesn't have the physical ability to do it, then maybe they shouldn't, is the way that ultimately people see it. And it's such a competitive thing, I think that's kind of the whole idea. But is it right? Is it necessarily right to treat people like that? No.
So the shitty thing isn't that he didn't let him do it, but the shitty thing was he didn't let him, because he's like, I need to sit down for a while and let my leg heal, then I'll be back to running. And he's just like, you know what? If you can't even run with a leg injury, then you can never run again. Yeah. That was the shitty part.
It's but I'm here on a scholarship. I wish the best of luck to you. Find your own path. That was, one of the most heartless things I ever. Just, it was just so hollow.
Isn't that the thing that made Kakeru snap?
Yeah.
When he said that?
Yeah, and we actually get a little bit more insight into why Sakaki is such a brat after all. I thought Sakaki was going to be pretty one-note and kind of boring, but I'm kind of glad they actually delved into what that meant.
Yeah, he's got kind of...
justifiable motivation.
Yeah, justifiable motivations. I wouldn't say a good reason, because I feel like the coach deserved what he had coming.
Yeah, the coach did deserve what he had coming, but at the same time, in doing what he did, because Kakeru was acting out of selfish interest, he even acknowledged as such, he just did it for instantaneous self-gratification.
Yeah, it ruined everybody else's chance.
Yeah, people who had been working for years and be just immediately undone because of what Kakeru did just in the heat of the moment, just because he wanted gratification at that point in time. So I really think that, it's going to be interesting to see if Sakaki will eventually learn to forgive Kakeru, or how that's going to play out throughout the rest of this season.
So this episode was, the majority of it was, part of it was flashback, but the other part was, the most character growth we've seen out of Kakeru in the entire series so far.
Yeah, he actually sits down and talks with the rest of the team, and tells them, this is what happened. I'm worried what will happen if I continue to do this. I can't really control myself. And ultimately what it boils down to is, you can rely on us, man. You don't have to go at it all by yourself.
Most heartwarming scene of the season so far.
Yeah, I agree. I will say this, kind of going back to the whole flashback situation, I thought it was a clever little detail that most of the flashback was in sort of grayscale, kind of distorted visuals, kind of muted, kind of everything was just sort of muted and quiet. But then as soon as Kakeru punched it, everything just became vibrant and, kind of intense.
It's probably visual representation of Kakeru, repressing his his feelings.
Because, he was just getting ridiculous. And we could just see, that gradual buildup of him just getting more angry with himself, with his coach, just sort of all that. And him wanting to help out the freshmen, but he couldn't do it because he just didn't have the capabilities. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, Kakeru has what other people don't. He's naturally skilled at running. He's just naturally good at it. He's never really had to work particularly hard. It's sort of like Hanebado with Hanasaki, pretty much. Yeah. Just somebody who was naturally gifted with it and didn't have to work particularly hard for it. He just had it. Everyone else had to work ridiculously hard to get where they were.
So props to Haiji too in this episode, because he's so goddamn observant of everyone on his team. The scene where they're eating dinner together, everyone else is kind of talking, but Haiji's looking at Kakeru because he's like, oh well, he's probably upset about something. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as he goes outside, freaking Haiji's on the ball. It's like, hot chocolate, here you go.
Oh yeah, that's right. That was so cool. And then of course, they had to have a moment with the whole I'm sure to appease the shippers out there. Does Kakeru have a girlfriend thing? and and him just getting
Smoke
super,
Heiji.
and just him getting, and then Kakeru getting super awkward about it, and then Hana getting like super interested in it. Just again, I'm sure that was thrown in to some extent to appease the shippers out there.
Nah.
But I don't know. I'm really liking this series. Like, I'm still liking this series. It's one of the better sports anime I've seen in a while.
Yeah, my favorite part of this episode was just Kakeru finally admitting, I want to run with you guys.
Yeah, that was
the
so...
Hakone Ekiden, because, like he's hasn't said that at all.
This is like,
entire series.
he actually confirmed what he wanted. Like, he actually let his team know, yes, this is what I wanted. I'm not doing it just because you needed a 10th person.
Yeah. He specifically wants to run with this team.
Exactly. And that's...
it's funny because everyone's like, wait, what? Like, I thought, we were all serious about this. What the fuck, man?
It's like, yeah, of course they gave him a little bit of a hard time about that, but hey, they're all teammates. They're going to. Mm-hmm. I really like this series. I really like all the relationships between the team. It's just enjoyable to watch. I think next episode is going to be focusing more on Prince again. Like, is he actually going to be able to make progress on his race? Because that's what it seemed like the episode preview was hinting at.
Yeah, he still needs to beat the time.
Yeah, exactly. Him, King, and I want to say someone, like a third person hasn't quite done it yet. It's Prince and King for sure.
Yeah.
Last on our list, Sword Art Alicization.
This is the best episode that I've seen in this entire season so far.
I will agree with that, but considering what we had to work with this season, I wouldn't say that's particularly saying much, but I will actually say there were some really clever moments that made me go, okay, that was actually really cool. Like how Kirito actually determined from the get-go that these girls were suspicious.
Yeah, it's funny how you're like, oh, maybe he's just standing behind him because he thinks the girls are going to stab him.
And that's what it actually... I was making a joke, and I was halfway expecting I knew it was going to be poison, so I just willed the poison away or some bullshit like that.
Yeah, I have a higher poison resistance stat.
Yeah, I was expecting something like that, but no, they actually used like legitimate deductive reasoning and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. That was cool.
Yeah, it almost feels like this episode was written by someone else.
Right? Or maybe Reki Kawahara learned a little bit from his past mistakes.
Maybe.
But that being said, there were still... And while the fighting, actually, in this episode was pretty cool, I still had some problems with it.
What's that?
Like, I think it was kind of bizarre that all the other 4 knights were... It's just like, no, stand aside, I'm gonna take care of this myself. They just kind of became part of the background and didn't really do anything. Like, they weren't checking up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Like they probably should have done the whole time.
They did what they were ordered to. They stayed back. Because... They made a show of it in the beginning when the 2 girls walked in. They were like, I don't understand why you knights all hide behind honor and order and all stuff like that. So it's not like it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It kind of set them up. It immediately set them up as characters that, like, okay, we have to listen to our highest in command, and it's all about honor and, chivalry and one-on-one fights and stuff like that.
I mean, I still think it's a little awkward that their knight commander didn't order them to watch over the spare because hey, they just watched somebody get up. They didn't know, they weren't sure, and also probably watched him as he handed him an antidote. So obviously there was going to be some kind of planning there. Why didn't they? It would have been very simple to just say, hey, watch him. It just felt like they just kind of disregarded that for the sake of convenience. Nice. So that Yu-Gi-Oh could pull off a pretty badass move, actually.
Well, it's a situation of like, if they're following the code of chivalry, then they wouldn't go after someone who was down on the ground.
Oh, I'm not saying they had to go after him. Just guard him or something, or keep an eye on him is really all they needed to do.
Okay.
Like if that makes sense. But I will say this: yeah, the fighting in this actually pretty cool.
Oh my god, the Sakuga in this episode was so good.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
The voice acting was really good too. Just the way that Yu-Gi-Oh screamed as he used his sacred art was. It gave me a little bit of chills.
Yeah.
Or not sacred art, that's fucking Tails.
Yeah. It is sacred art.
It's sacred art?
Yeah, it is sacred arts. But art in the Tails games is spelled with an E. That's how it's different. Yeah. I'll probably do avoid copyright.
But yeah, the fighting was really cool in this episode. I really liked the motivation behind the characters felt interesting. Like, Kirito his dialogue didn't feel just super generic this episode. Like, he was talking with the female knight.
Yeah.
I don't remember what her name was. But basically saying, well, you see all these things as what people, you think people see you as, but obviously you hiding your face and using that sword style, you're the one who cares about it the most.
Yeah. I will say that to me, that whole like, oh, nobody's going to take her seriously because she's a woman thing, that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me. The freaking leader of the Axiom Church is a freaking female.
But it's just insecurities in a medieval society.
But still, the person with the highest authority is a woman as well. Like, I just don't see how that really makes sense. It feels a little bit awkwardly handled. Like, I'd get it if they explored it a little bit and maybe approached it a little bit differently, but for me it just felt it was interesting, like, actually seeing it's like, oh, she's actually a female. That's kind of cool, but it just felt a little unnecessary because it's already been revealed that yes, there are female integrity knights. Yes, there are. It just felt like they were trying to tack on a message that didn't really, at least to me, didn't feel particularly necessary. If that makes any sense. Overall,
it made a little sense to me because they showed a little bit of her insecurities with this other character. They showed kind of a glimpse of him. Is like, you're like, it didn't seem like she felt that way about everybody, but her insecurity was sprouted from one single person that treated her. They looked at her like she was lesser because she was a female. It's probably more of a nobody actually treated her that way. But it's all in her head.
That could be it. Like, I mean, I think it's interesting. Like, I think that could be interesting because we don't know what rank of the Synthesis Knights she is. Isn't she 2? Or is she supposed to be the?
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Like, we don't really know of exactly what that is. Like, it'd be interesting if that person was her superior officer, and she wanted to sort of usurp him or something, or prove to him.
He's in the opening.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, so he's probably going to be a guy that Kirito is probably going to have to fight later on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and Kirito actually getting, like, pretty severely wounded a couple times is actually pretty interesting.
Oh, yeah, he gets like, shot in the foot with a laser in the same foot that he got shot in with an arrow.
Just, my arrow foot.
But, yeah.
And then, like, shot, and then just, like, getting shot in the stomach. I will say...
There's probably going to be no consequences to that because of, healing magic and whatnot.
Yeah, healing magic. At the same time, I will give credit where credit's due. Like, I will say the facial animations for any time there's, like, pain and stuff in the shows, usually pretty well handled. They're able to, like, twist and contort the faces in some pretty creative and sometimes unsettling ways. Kind of captures that desperation. Like, even in the, what is the name of that fight? The one that you like so much the first time when Kirito revealed, I have dual wielding! Like,
oh, Gleam Eyes?
Yes, Gleam Eyes.
Oh, I love it so much!
Yeah, like the facial animations and stuff, and just like his desperation there is actually pretty well handled.
And the soundtrack. The soundtrack provides probably like 50% of the hype to that scene.
Oh yeah, it's Yuki Kajira. Kajira is a freaking great composer. Anybody who says different can fight me. But
it also made this scene pretty hype because they played like the same song they play whenever something cool happens.
Yeah, and like seeing them like jump off the pillars and stuff like that, I thought that was pretty cool. I will say that some of the actual like sword play felt a little bit lazy, I guess.
Yeah. So like the part where they were just exactly, they were standing still and they just had like Dragon Ball Z-esque. We're moving fast.
Yeah.
Like
okay, I'm glad I'm not the only one who thought that was super lazy.
Well, Hiroaka does that really well.
Yeah.
Specifically the scene where All Might is fighting the Nomu.
Yeah.
Does all the really fast punches.
Yeah.
There's definitely a way to do it really well.
Yeah.
This was not one of those times.
Yeah, exactly.
Whoever was in charge of that shot does not obviously have a lot of experience.
Something like speaking of another really awkward shot, wasn't there the shot where they held on like the two girls like looking at Kirito and Yujiro like the staircase, and there was like a big ass freaking like part of the staircase just like occupying the front of the shot, so they're just in the background. That just was really off to me. It's like, why was that there?
It might have been like, we spent a lot of money already on this awesome fight scene.
So let's just hold this really awkward shot where apparently we're supposed to focus on the stair railing for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know.
It just was okay, that was bizarre. But overall, as someone who typically doesn't like Sword Art episodes, this one was actually pretty good.
It was kick-ass! I loved it! It's more of what I want exactly from Sword Art, just the sweet kick-ass action, but also the better than usual character interaction is a nice touch. And
maybe next episode we'll see freaking Kirito's stupid sacred art.
It pissed me off so much.
That was the biggest fuck you ever. And it was pretty bad already when they said, it's oh, that's an interesting secret art. Hey, what's your secret art, Kirito? I'm not telling you. Okay.
My secret art is go fuck yourself.
I see. Keep your secrets. Yeah, no, that was bad. And the fact they cut it off right when he was about to do it, just okay. Yeah. It doesn't really set up that it's going to make the fight last particularly long. I imagine that in the next episode it's just going to be maybe 5 minutes maybe of that fight and then just immediately on to the next thing.
Yeah, probably. They're probably not going to kill the Integrity Knight either.
Yeah. Which, again, it kind of makes sense because we've already seen Kirito. He wants to actually save people in this world. I would feel a little bit more attached to that motivation had we actually seen him interact with this world a little bit more, earlier, but...
Yeah, it feels like the show is... once they found the plot, it's kind of kicking in a little bit more and getting a little more interesting.
Yeah, but personally, I would have liked... and this is something that can't really be changed at this point. It would have been nice to see more of Yu-Gi-Oh! And Kirito's journey together while they were trying to train and stuff like that.
Oh man, what if next episode, instead of continuing it immediately to the fight, it's just back at the ranch.
Oh! That would piss me off so much. That would suck.
It's a coin flip at this point. It might happen. Who knows?
It very well could be. Or it might just be they finish the fight and then immediately go into another info dump in a not cafe.
No, please don't. This episode was so good for me.
Yeah.
Just keep going like this.
It might be, I'm just warning you, it might be a situation where they just want to throw in one good episode just to keep people invested, but then it might just be a few episodes of mediocrity at best and downright terrible at worst. But anyway, that's going to do it for this week of the Timesink Anime Podcast. So, upcoming things that we're going to be talking about. 1, Anime Awards. We are going to be discussing them, in a future video, very soon, I imagine.
Yeah, we just gotta buckle down and watch the rest of Bunny Girl really quick.
Exactly. We got to finish the rest of that. We've already done some of our initial what we wanted, what other people are thinking, just things like that. We're going to go more in depth when we actually record that video. It's going to be a lot of fun, guys. In the meantime, if you want to go and vote, we'll leave a description, or we'll leave a link down in the description below. And
even if you're not entirely happy with all the choices, which a lot of people, it seems they're not super happy with those.
I would just say still go and vote, because at the same time, I know that the Crunchyroll Anime Awards are a mess, but they're a mess. I think that every year they are getting better. I think that they are trying to improve.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there's people behind the computer screens.
Yeah, exactly.
They're trying to figure it out in the way that makes best sense.
Exactly.
It might not make the best sense to everyone as a whole. I personally think that
there should be more in community input.
Exactly. Yeah, they shouldn't be having specific people choose the nominees. I think they should have the community choose the nominees as a whole.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure how the Academy Awards work. Maybe they're trying to do something like that, which, again, we'll see how they are improving. I think they've been getting steadily a little bit more organized each year, with an exception of a couple weird ass nominations. Why is Ainz considered an antagonist? We'll talk about that later.
More or less, don't take it personally. I think too many people are taking these awards personally.
Yeah, I am looking forward to seeing actually how things go. It'll be interesting if, for instance, Hinamatsuri wins Anime of the Year. I doubt it, but...
Yeah.
But anyway, other thing that we're going to be talking about next week is going to be our cutoff point.
Yeah, we're going to be cutting it down to 12 shows a week for our sanity, and also we can talk more about them if we have less shows to talk about.
Exactly. And that's kind of generally how the format of our show works. We will, for the first few weeks, we'll watch as much stuff as interests us, and then just cut it down to 12, and then talk about those shows specifically in more detail. So for you guys who are listening, look forward to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. This season isn't particularly overwhelming. It isn't underwhelming either. It's just the right amount.
It's whelming.
It's just the right amount of whelming. I really like. I think for now at least, our decisions for what we're cutting are relatively set in stone.
Yeah, we'll probably look around on see what the community likes. To help us on little tiebreakers and whatnot.
Exactly. But overall, until next time, take care of yourselves,
See you
everyone.
guys next week.
See you next week. Bye.